All right, let's go. 49ers-Texans preview conversation. 24 hours from now, we'll be wrapping up the 49ers preseason in Houston. So today, I'm going to be open to your questions. The 49ers walked through today at their facility before hopping on the plane to Texas. There are many better places to be in August than Houston, Texas, but that's where they're going to be in the humidity. There's going to be bugs there, but they're going to be inside, so it's going to be fine. Quick trip, business trip to Houston, in and out of there. Then the preseason will be done, and then we have 17, almost 20 days, 17 days to wait until the regular season opener on September 11th at Chicago. So this morning, I came live. I talked about this piece right here. This is my article on Trey Lance, Trey Sermon, and 5 49ers to watch in the final preseason game. Same article still applies, so why don't you go ahead and check it out? It is now in the chat section. Questions. I'm going to answer those tonight. We're going to have a nice casual show. As you can always tell, it's a casual show when the hoodie's on instead of the blazer. So we'll just answer whatever your most pressing queries about the 49ers are, and then we'll move forward into tomorrow where we will have new content. Today, I put up some slow-mo video onto the YouTube channel, some slow-mo video of Trey Lance throwing. Brandon Ayuk almost narrowly missing running me over after making a nice catch on the sideline. And you also got a peek at Nate Sudfeld throwing. Tomorrow, leading up to the game, maybe I'll post some more practice footage from the final open session of this 2022 season. That happened on Tuesday. All right, so let's go to Kenny Thatch. How many downs will Trey Lance play? Up to 1/2. We don't know exactly what Kyle Shanahan determined beyond that, but up to 1/2 for Trey Lance in this game against the Texans on Thursday. K Dubsville says, Kyle said today on KMBR, I should add, that they're going to carry 9 linemen. Time to buy the Poe jersey, people. Guys, I told you before, Kyle, they're going to carry 9, and the 9th is going to be Poe. And if you want to have a visual illustration of that, here you go. This is the roster, and this is the depth chart. Make it bigger on the screen for you. The D-line is highlighted right now. The O-line is highlighted there. Williams, 1. Banks, 2. Brendel, 3. Burford, 4. McGlinchey, 5. McKivitz, 6. Brunskill, 7. Moore, 8. Poe, number 9. So, yes, time to buy the number 62 jersey. Jason Poe, I believe, will be making this team. 9 linemen. Fairly customary. Some years you skimp on it. You don't skimp on it in a year that you have Jason Poe, because Poe, I mean, if you look at the depth chart here, what's gives the 49ers a luxury is that McKivitz can play tackle. Brunskill can obviously play tackle. His best football has come at tackle, and Jalen Moore can play tackle. So your 9th lineman or the 4th reserve, you can go ahead and have that be an interior-only guy like Jason Poe. All right, back to here. Let's go to Mike. Is everybody ready for tomorrow? You can answer that question in the chat section to Mike. 17. It's a lucky number of my family. So, let's put out a promise right now. If the 49ers win the Super Bowl, you'll get to see the other side of the jersey. Deal? Okay. You could mark my words. If they win the Super Bowl, you'll see the other side. But 17 comes from my mom. She said that 17 was a lucky number. So, you have to decorate the video somehow. And the portrait mode makes it cool to blur the jersey out in the background a little bit. Michael Humphrey asks, is Ross Dwelley really ahead of Tyler Kroft? Tough to know. Kroft was getting a ton of first-team reps when Kittle was out, but the tight ends all have different roles. So Dwelley is more of a utility tight end. He can do all the stuff, but he doesn't do anything at a great level. And so Dwelley is a guy that you want to have in there if you need, if Kittle is out, right? Because you have somebody who's actually successfully getting the job done in, small ways. He's not going to be an overpowering dominant player like Kittle. But, Kroft, for example, had 42 catches against for Cincinnati a few years ago. At no point in Dwelley's career did he have 42 catches, nor will he ever have 42 catches in his career. Dwelley is just not that explosive of a player. So Kroft probably gives you a little bit more upside, even though he's a veteran now. He's a little bit older, But Dwelly has just been around for so long and, just impresses the coaching staff so much because he gets the fundamentals so right for the 49ers. So I don't know who's ahead, who's behind. I think it depends on who else is available. And we'll see how the 49ers execute that roster cut down coming up. Hot Coffee Pot says that he fears that Mason is going to get poached. I think that anybody would be afraid of that. He's looked good in these preseason games. The one thing is that it has been in the second half, so maybe the 49ers can still sneak him through. If they do waive him, can still sneak him through waivers, because other football teams will not want to sign a guy that's only been in second half action in the preseason. So nobody will want to poach him. I don't know the validity of that. This is also complicated. This is where the front office makes its money this week, especially the guys that you haven't heard of. They have a lot of analysts there. They're going to be sitting looking at the roster needs of every single team around the National Football League. So they know, okay, who might pick up Jordan Mason if we waive him? Okay, who might pick up Brock Purdy if we waive him? You need to be ready and armed with as much intelligence as possible so you know who to waive and who you got to protect. And, along those lines, does Kyle Shanahan try to shield Jordan Mason a little bit? Does he not give him first team reps here if he does plan to waive him regardless so he doesn't get as much shine? I don't know. But yes, anytime a guy performs well in the preseason, that is a concern. Here's a good question. I think Hyder might be on the bubble because a lot of guys are on the bubble. But somebody just emailed me because they noticed that I had a miscalculation in the spreadsheet formula, that I actually only had 52 guys on my roster. So I had Hyder on the outside looking in. But as you'll see here, I put Hyder back into the roster equation. So make this wide. For a lot of these questions, I figure I'll be popping this sucker open. So why don't we make this a little bit bigger? If you want to follow along on this, I'm going to put it in the chat section. Those of you who are new here, you can see the depth chart, 53-man roster projection, all that good stuff. So here's Hyder. Have him as the 11th defensive lineman. If it does come down to the 49ers needing to cut one of the 11 defensive linemen because they can only fit 10, and I don't know what their priorities will be, then it's either going to be Ridgeway, Hyder, or Teray. And God, it's just so tough for me to stomach cutting somebody who led your team with 8.5 sacks just 2 seasons ago. 8.5 sacks is no joke. Like, Kerry Hyder can play, and he can play inside. They've compared him to Ronald Blair. You can't tell me that you don't want a Ronald Blair comp on your defensive line. All right, I'm going to scroll up. Let's go back here. Let's make this big again, see what you guys are asking. Who has a better chance to make the 53, Castro, Fields, or Knight? I think Quantrez Knight has a better chance to make the 53. I think they're both practice squad projects, though. Elijah, Ray monster season, book it. Yeah, I think Ray is going to have a big season. Talking about Ray McLeod, because I think Kyle's going to find ways to feature him. People often ask me, who's wide receiver 3? And I say, well, it depends on what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. Juwan Jennings is big slot wide receiver 3. So if you want a comparative run blocking advantage, want a big guy against a nickel, put Juwan Jennings in there. Ray McLeod is gadget weapon wide receiver number 3. So if you want to run some end around stuff, or if you want to get a little sneakier, put Ray McLeod in there. Danny Gray is your burner number 3. So if you want to blow the top off the defense or run a little slip screen where he could take it and run, put Danny Gray in there. They're going to run some 4 wide sets too, because they have a lot of talent at the wide out position. Davis Mills. Oh yeah, we're going to get to see Davis Mills. Stanford product. That's my alma mater. So Davis played against Trey Lance last year, right? Yeah, week 17 last year. So Davis Mills will be starting that game for the Houston Texans. Will Mike McDaniel or Mike LaFleur claim Trey Sermon if waived? Haberman and Middlecoff claim he won't get claimed based on 2 seasons of film. Well, we don't really have 2 seasons of film is the problem, right? He was a rookie last year and he didn't play that much. The 49ers do have the issue of Kyle Shanahan having a robust coaching staff tree around the entire National Football League. And because of that, there's going to be curiosity from those guys like Mike LaFleur or Mike McDaniel in 49ers running backs or in 49ers players who are waived. So I'm not so sure that Sermon's going to be waived, though. Let's just wait and see. Before we make any firm predictions, it's all going to be fluid in our predictions until this coming game on Thursday. The coach says waive Sermon. He won't get picked up. Mason is a undrafted rookie free agent. The cat's out the bag. He's not getting released. Oh, he's afraid that the coach is afraid that he's going to get picked up somewhere. Mason is too good to chance it. The 49ers might think so. But hey, I'm just saying, let's let this play out. Let's see what Thursday brings, because I think we might get better comparative evaluation chances. We want to see guys run behind the first team line. We want to see them break tackles behind the first team line. We want to see them run against first team defenses. Let's see how Kyle plays this on Thursday before we make our final predictions based on what's going to happen. How would I compare Womack to Verrett? Well, first off, Samuel Womack has got extremely long arms. 5'9", so I think Verrett's a little bit taller than that. Verrett's 6 feet tall. So Womack is shorter, but he's got just as long arms. In fact, Womack's arm length, 32 inches, is the same as Richard Sherman's, and Richard was 6'3". At this point, Womack is probably faster than Jason Verrett because Verrett's older, has been through some injuries. Womack runs a 4.40. I'm sure that Verrett is a more technical player because he's a polished NFL vet, and Verrett's an outside corner with a little bit more of that height, whereas Samuel Womack at 5'9", short area quickness, is a slot corner, but he's also got the jets. He's got the afterburners, so he could play a little outside. That's what the 49ers think. However, they are grooming him to play on the inside. Yep, Mike says if you waive Sermon, it's because you're done with him. And I'm not sure that the 49ers are done with him. I mean, he's looked decent in the practices. I know the games mean more for running backs because of the ability to break tackles, but also the sample size has been small. He hurt his ankle last week, and again, he's running against better defenders behind a worse 49ers offensive line because Trent Williams hasn't been playing it. I just want to see a fair eval. I'm just tossing my hands up right now. I don't know. I'm not done with the running back section of my 53-man roster projection. I'm going to wait on Thursday, and then I'm going to make my projection after that. Shanahan's saturation around the league. Yeah, that's LaFleur, McDaniel. The tree is starting to grow, which is a good thing, a good problem to have for the 49ers. Antonio Sosa, do you see the Niners picking up another running back and or a center after all cuts are done? It depends on how the center situation looks. Brendo was good in his first action against the Green Bay Packers. Didn't give up a pressure. I thought that Shanahan was happy with the communication. Tomorrow is going to be a big day for a lot of these guys because it's the dress rehearsal. And if you bomb the dress rehearsal, maybe the front office goes into a little bit of not panic mode, but they start, shuffling around to make sure that the same mistakes don't occur again. So let's see how the 49ers do in the dress rehearsal. Communication center point like Brendel at that center position, having to identify all that, set the protections for the offensive line. Let's see how he does before we determine if the 49ers are going to go pursue other guys. They certainly have plenty of time after this game. There's 17 days in between this game against the Raiders and the Raiders. Last year they played the Raiders. 17 days in between this contest at the Texans and the game against the Bears on September 11th. Now, remember that the game against the Raiders last year was significant in how it impacted the 49ers season. Trey Lance broke his finger. He chipped his finger in the game against the Raiders in week 3, the dress rehearsal. Now, that was only 2 weeks before the start of the regular season, 14 days. This is 17, so the schedule is a little wackier this year with this being Thursday night football. But, if you look at the downstream effects of what happened last year, we didn't really know the severity of it at the time. But Shanahan wanted to run with 2 quarterbacks last year, right? He developed a plan against the Raiders. He tested it against the Raiders. He was alternating Jimmy and Trey Lance. And then he used Trey a little bit in the regular season, tried it against Detroit, used it against the Packers to score that touchdown behind Trent Williams in the red zone. But it turned out that Trey just wasn't enough of a passing threat with the chipped finger. And Shanahan really abandoned something that he was working on heavily during the preseason. So injuries can happen, and the 49ers need to try to get out of this game healthy. I think first and foremost, that's what you always say, especially in the preseason. You want to get out of these games healthy because they took some significant damage last year when Trey Lance did chip his finger. And that was something he had to work through the entire offseason, really, to get everything back into gear. And now, obviously, he's firing bullets and he's looking good. He's improving. Accuracy-wise, it has nothing to do with the finger anymore with Trey Lance. It's just a matter of getting that right coaching and the right habits under his belt, and reps tomorrow are going to help toward that final goal. If Brock Purdy plays tomorrow, is it his last game or is he competing for second string? Even if he doesn't get second string, it's not necessarily his last game. Nick Mullins started on the practice squad. 49ers called him up in 2018, right? And he beat the Raiders. That's why you go on Wikipedia and sometimes, not now, you can go to the Las Vegas Raiders, Oakland Raiders back then. You could look at the team details and it says owner Nick Mullins because of what happened in that Thursday night game in 2014. But no, anyway, Brock Purdy, it's the end of the story is not here if he doesn't win QB2. He could get picked up by another team, but there's also a good chance that the 49ers would be able to re-sign him to their practice squad. And I think we'll almost certainly see Brock Purdy tomorrow, unless he's sick or something. I mean, second half, fair game tomorrow, Sudfeld and Brock Purdy, unless the 49ers are hiding Purdy, which I guess isn't crazy, but I don't expect that to happen. I think the 49ers are going to just let it ride tomorrow. Starters first half or so, and then Purdy, Nate Sudfeld there in the second half. Do you see West or Zakelj being activated during the regular season? Not yet. They're not ready yet. I mean, Nick Zakelj looked really rough early on, and he's really improved as of late. And I'll tell you what, that's the same pattern that we've seen from Nick Zakelj in the past. When he came out of high school in Cleveland to Fordham initially, the head coach was like, what the hell did you bring me? He got mad at the recruiting coordinator. He's like, do your job better. This is trash. This is hot garbage that you brought me, because Zakelj was so raw. But the recruiting coordinator said, hey, just give him some time. Give him some time. And Zakelj picked it up quickly and became one of the more dominant players to ever come through the trenches at Fordham. Same thing at the Senior Bowl this past spring. Zakelj shows up at the Senior Bowl, is just knocked on his ass a few times, looks terrible on the first couple days. By the time the game rolled around, he was one of the better linemen of the Senior Bowl. So Nick Zakelj's a quick learner, because we saw the same pattern repeat itself in training camp. Didn't look good at all at the start, has looked a lot better lately. So I see him as a practice squad project. I see Donovan West as a practice squad project. If the 49ers get desperate this year, they activate them. But they hope they don't have to get to that point. They hope that these guys can take redshirt seasons and develop for them. Do I think Hokit is coming back? I think there's a strong possibility he wouldn't be able to come back until the practice squad, because the 49ers aren't going to add him back to the roster right now just to have to cut him again before the practice squad. But they were interested in bringing him back when he was waived. I will say that. And he was only with the Cardinals for a very short period of time. So let's just see how these P squads form up. And that's not going to be for another week. That's going to be happening a week from now, after August 30th, after the cutdowns. The 49ers will be filling out that practice squad. Has anyone improved drastically since training camp started? Well, I think Jason Poe's doing a good job. Nick Zakelj has improved a lot. Samuel Womack. A lot of the rookies who showed up, eyes wide, Trey Lance, I think, has had a very significant improvement. Let's put this out there. 48% completion percentage his first week of camp. Looked rough, right? We talked about how rough he looked. Since then, nearly 60%. So I think that's significant improvement. I don't know if it's drastic, but it's significant. So it's hard to tell the running backs. I think Drake Jackson has gotten a lot better since camp started. I mean, you look at him against Minnesota. The 49ers rookie class seems to be really legit. And that's all I have to say. I think we'll be able to better judge this once they take the field tomorrow and then moving on into the regular season. Which game am I most looking forward to this season? Well, New Year's Day in Vegas is going to be a ton of fun. Mexico City is going to be fun. I'll be headed out to Mexico City. That will be good. Atlanta, just because that's a new stadium. Might not be a great game. No, as far as the game goes, Mile High Stadium, week 3. I guess it's called Invesco Field now. But Denver, week 3, 49ers, Broncos, Russell Wilson on the other side, Sunday Night Football. The 49ers play the Bears and the Seahawks in weeks 1 and 2, both games in which they should be soundly favored in. Probably are soundly favored in, because you could bet on anything. I'm sure you could already bet on week 2 as well. But week 3 is going to be the first time the 49ers are likely underdogs this year, right? On the road against a Denver team that loaded up. Get to see what that AFC West is all about. I'm looking forward to week 3 at 49ers at Denver. That's going to be a fun one. Which rookie has impressed you the most so far? S. Lee Green says that his is Spencer Burford. I mean, yeah, anytime a guy could show up and take every single first-team rep at right guard throughout all of camp, that's impressive. And guess what? Burford's most recent game, he only gave up one pressure. And that one pressure was not a clean beat. He managed to hold that tackle at bay enough for Sudfeld to roll out, make a nice pass to Tyler Kroft. So 5 pressures given up for Burford week 1 of the preseason. Only 1 given up in week 2 against the Vikings. That's progress. That's what the 49ers like to see. Yeah, Josh Hokett was a Fresno State guy, but he still is a Fresno State guy. You don't have to talk about him like he died in the past tense. He's still alive, and he may be back with the 49ers as Kyle Juszczyk's back up on the practice squad. Just give it a little bit of time, see what happens. If the 49ers keep Garoppolo, does it affect the 2023 cap financials? Does cap space roll over the next season to help the Bosa signing? Yes, cap space will roll over. Whatever they don't use this year rolls over, so that can help. Yeah, I mean, keeping Garoppolo would obviously affect the financials because it would be $24 million. So it would be harder to do stuff, which is, huge. It's the injuries and the cap situation that the 49ers are trying to get around with the whole rookie contract for Trey Lance. So we'll see how much it helps them, but keeping Garoppolo would certainly be a pricey maneuver. They could afford it, but it might affect some things downstream. I think it's too early to say it. I really think it's too early to say it. Trey Sermon, let's give him his chance, right? Let's give him his chance. He's going to have supposedly a chance to run on Thursday, which is tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens beyond that. I think it's too early to label him a Joe Williams. All right, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Would you expect the O-line first string tomorrow to be the official offensive line of outside of McGlinchey who's out? Yeah, absolutely. Left tackle, Trent Williams. Left guard, Aaron Banks. I think Jason Poe, first the reason he's seen some action with the first team is just that they want to see, how meteoric this improvement is. I don't expect him to start day 1, but I do expect him to make the team. Poe can also be a specialty weapon. We've talked about that. H-back, fullbacks, you want to get him in there against the ones. Center, Jake Brendel. Right guard, Spencer Burford. Right tackle, McGlinchey when healthy, but when hurt, Colton McKivitz. And maybe Daniel Brunskill can fill in a tackle. Remember, his best football for the 49ers, Brunskill's, came in 2019 playing tackle. Makes sense because he was a former tight end at San Diego State. So tight end is an easier transition to exterior line than it is interior line. So to me, it was no surprise that Brunskill wasn't as good as a guard as he was at tackle. Again, they have intriguing, versatile guys that can fill in a pinch, I think, at those tackle spots. But of course, you would want Mike McGlinchey back as soon as possible. Odom and Hufanga, are they the first team safeties if Ward isn't ready? Probably. It's tough because Tarvarius Moore seems to have taken a step back on the pecking order. It's all second team snaps the last 2 practices that I watched for Tarvarius Moore. So I don't know where exactly that is. He was getting some 1 snaps earlier, some first team snaps. And then there's Deshaun Gibson, who I think is just there to help them get through this game without injuries. But if he impresses them, he could start knocking on that door. Gibson's a former Pro Bowler. Played in 2014 at the Pro Bowl 2014 for the Browns when Shanahan was the coach there, the offensive coordinator, not the head coach. And K'Wan Williams is starting rookie nickelback. So that's a blast from the past. That's Deshaun Gibson, how long he's been around the NFL. Are there any offensive linemen out there worth trading for? Let's wait till the cut down. Let's wait till closer to let's just watch on Thursday, then we'll see. Because, I mean, yeah, they're linemen. They're great linemen around the league, but is anybody willing to trade them? Is, what I'm saying? Like, how much would you have to pay? Linemen are a valuable commodity. Not going to be easy to pick anybody up. Is Lance strolling down Allen Boulevard? Well, Allen, completed 52.8% of his passes as a rookie. Trey Lance in training camp was somewhere like 54%. So we'll see what he does here in his first year starting. 49ers wouldn't mind that, but they would need some patience. Allen didn't hit 70% until year 3. And this is technically year 2 for Lance, but I think it's starting year number 1. Both raw prospects from small schools. I'm scrolling down, see. If the 49ers cut Garoppolo, are they not eligible for a comp pick in next year's draft? Nope, they're not. You'd have to play out his contract and leave in free agency for the 49ers to be eligible for a comp pick. Here's a request. Can you do a video on players who made the team and how they earned it in preseason games, such as Burford and Banks? First of all, they didn't earn it in preseason games. These guys have earned it. I mean, Burford, I think you're talking about specifically, has earned it in camp and in OTAs. This goes back, but I'll write an article on that, and I'll talk about it on here. That's a good idea. Preseason doesn't matter as much, especially for positions like that, as the just the labor of camp and the meeting room presence and all that good stuff. That's when the real job interview is happening. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of how I have felt, actually. I've always advocated for Brunskill at tackle, and his metrics were really good. It was like top 15 stuff in 2019. I'm getting so many questions about this, and my answer is I really want to see him run on Thursday, because Sermon to me has looked better at practice. Now, I'm not saying better than Mason. They're running against different units at practice, but Sermon has looked better in practice than he has in these games. And he tweaked his ankle the other day. To me, the running back position is the toughest to predict, because Shanahan gives no rhyme or reason for how he slots it at practice. Last year we thought that Sermon, was going to be at the top of that pecking order with Mostert, and all of a sudden Elijah Mitchell shows up in week 1 because Shanahan kept that really close to the vest. It's really, really hard to see on the practice field. So you could think somebody looks okay, looks decent, looks bad, but you don't know how Shanahan's setting him up to either succeed or fail, if he's testing him or if he's just messing with outside viewers. So I really want to see Thursday, which is as close to the regular season as we'll get in terms of dress rehearsal. And then from there, we'll see what Shanahan does. So I'm still formulating my opinion, because I honestly, that's like looking through the weeds. That one's really hard for me. What do I want to see from Lance in the final preseason game? I'd like to see him hit a couple deep out passes, good mechanics, accuracy, avoid the turnovers, and generally just efficiently move the offense along. That's what he needs to do. That's the goal in the season, so it should be the goal in the dress rehearsal. No notable cuts lately. I don't think anything was all too notable on Tuesday. Verrett went to PUP, so he didn't get cut. Kalia Davis to NFI. Those are regular season lists. They moved from the preseason or the training camp list to the regular season list. Schluter's back on the team. They waived the offensive lineman out of Minnesota with an injury designation, Sam Schluter, but he cleared waivers, so he's back with the team. They could reach an injury settlement with him, or they can stash him onto the practice squad after yet another. I don't know how that would work. He's on IR right now. Yes, they could reach an injury settlement with him if he's on IR, or they could, transfer him over to a practice squad IR at the start of the season. Be interesting to see what exactly the roster mechanics of that will be. But otherwise, Jeremiah Gemmell, I mean, the reason that cut's notable is because he was the slowest of the rookie linebackers, Gemmell. They kept Segun Olubi, and Marcelino McCrary Ball, the fast guys. So they're obviously really hammering home the speed. The 49ers want linebacker speed even at that depth position. Well, Brunskill is hurt right now. There's the question. With Burford locking up right guard, I'm surprised Shanahan hasn't given Brunskill a chance to compete for a starting position at right tackle. Brunskill's hurt. Brunskill was snapping to Jimmy Garoppolo on the side field the other day. So we'll have to wait till Brunskill gets back. And right now we're, still waiting to see Brendel, right? Brunskill hasn't been competing at right guard at all. Brunskill was competing with Brendel at center. Then he got hurt, hamstring for Brunskill. So Brendel's going to win center in all likelihood. And then, if Brendel is okay and steady at center, that's when you start thinking about Brunskill being able to fill in anywhere. No, Leon O'Neal is not on the team anymore. They waived him with an injury designation a little bit earlier in training camp. Is Hufanga locked in as the starter next to Jimmy? I would say it's looking that way. Tarvarius Moore was getting some 1 reps earlier in camp. That hasn't been happening as much lately. Hufanga, I mean, that big hit against Green Bay, had an interception in practice the other day. E-Man tipped it for Lance, intended for Debo, tipped by E-Man, interception for Hufanga. I would say so. Who traded for Patrick Beverly? The Warriors? Somebody just said that the Warriors just trade for Patrick Beverly. That'd be crazy. I don't know what team you're following. I'm just reading the chat section here. So yeah, remember to hit that like button. Got 320 people watching right now. Nice fun show. The Lakers did. The Lakers traded for Pat Beverly. Oh boy, NBA is kind of fun these days. I had a lot of fun watching the Warriors this past year. That was a cool run that they went on. Especially, I was just talking to my buddy, Game 4 against Boston. That shit was crazy. Who's going to be the favored punt returner, kick returner, in my opinion? Ray McLeod is going to be the punt returner. Maybe he returns kicks too. That's a little bit more dangerous. But they got Ray to return punts and be a receiver. So I think Ray will be the punt returner. He's steady there. Remember when they got desperate last year and they had Debo return kicks and he had a big one against Green Bay? God, that guy's such a good football player. TBD on the kick returning. We'll see. Dress rehearsal again. Let's watch what happens tomorrow night. This is a big game to get that kind of stuff, that kind of information. I don't know if anybody would trade for Dwelly. The 49ers are more tight end specific reliant than most teams. So, yeah, I don't know if there was much trade value there. Robbie Gold, last year after Mitch Wishnowsky and his wife had a child, that was their child was born, their baby was born the week of the Chicago game, so around week 8. After that, supposedly Wishnowsky, was a dad for the first time, lost a little bit of weight, just lost a little bit of the leg endurance. So that's something I think Greg Papa or Tim Ryan said on the broadcast that I picked up the other day. And it was actually easier for the 49ers to have Robbie Gold, even though he was the older guy, the kicker, handle the increased load of kickoffs. So Robbie transitioned to that role toward the end of last season. Mike Frost, I love the overall makeup of this team. Reminds me of the 80s Niners. It's good. That would be good news for the 49ers. Which running back do I like best for catching passes and providing pass protection? I mean, that's why I've been talking up Hasty. I mean, Hasty gives you a comparative advantage. You got a bunch of 220-pound bell cows in that room, maybe 215 with some of them. Hasty's your one, smaller third down kind of back, 200 to 205, but he could also pick guys up in pass protection. As Tim Ryan, speaking of the Devils, said, he's a ball of muscle. And the most impressive pass protection play for a running back so far this 49ers preseason came in Minnesota. Troy Dye, 225-pound linebacker, stonewalled. Boom. JaMychal Hasty got him. Brock Purdy completed to Malik Turner on third down, a 2-minute drill. Big play, big pass protection pickup. That's why I really like JaMychal Hasty. I think he gives you that receiving ability while also keeping and maintaining the blocking ability. A lot of questions. This is good. My head's starting to hurt, though, so I'm only going to stay on for a little bit longer. Water's good. When you have a headache, just drink the water. I need to stay fresh. This camp's getting me, man. Been out in the sun so much. I need to stay fresh. We still got a whole season to go. Marathon to go. I think it's because I swam in really cold water today. And no, I'm not afraid of sharks, for those of you who always ask. Like, that's the first thing that people always ask. I'll be sitting there, post a cool video from the water, and everybody's like, oh, there's going to be a shark. Well, it hasn't eaten me yet. It's been like, I've swam like 500 times in the bay. They still haven't got me. Now, it gets a little bit dicey when the seal starts following you. That's happened before. Like literally swimming there out toward Alcatraz, and then the seal starts following you. And it's like, oh, great, because something might be following the seal. But I have trust in myself. I think I'm pretty fast. So I'll just outswim the seal, maybe the shark, or the shark will get to the seal first. I'm just kidding. I'm not nearly as fast as any of those amphibious creatures. But no, don't worry about me and sharks. It's all good. One of these days, I'm gonna have to take a GoPro in the water and go live. I don't know if you can. It'd be awesome. Well, maybe get a case for the iPhone and go live from. That is a good idea. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a case for my iPhone and go live from Aquatic Park. I'm going to go buy the case like right now. I'm going to go on Amazon, find a case that I could use. We're going to do a live from Aquatic Park, and you're going to be able to see the bridge. Maybe I could even videotape some sharks for you as we talk about the 49ers from the water. Okay. As you can tell, I digress. I was talking about stuff that wasn't football there for a while. You're Not Yours says, looking forward to the improvement on special teams. It seems like there's more confidence on that side of the ball with the free agent additions. Yes, they focused on that, as well as Brian Schneider. Good seeing you on McAfee. Yeah, that was fun. That was about a week ago. It was on Friday. I think let's knock on wood, but maybe another appearance will be coming soon. That was a lot of fun. Come to Australia, or is that New Zealand? If you want to see some sharks. I can't tell which flag that is. I'm not good at identifying different flags. So tell me if that's Australia or New Zealand to see some big sharks. Yeah, of course. So every shark in the bay will want to be on YouTube. They want to get their likes up. We got to help their social media channels. We'll see. No turnovers tomorrow. I don't know. I mean, he had no turnovers in college, no interceptions in college. So I think Lance is a game day player for sure, though. We saw it with a broken finger against the Arizona Cardinals. I thought he just fought his heart out, right? And then a little bit later on against the Texans, 3 months later, he improved as that game went along. And it was after he was cold sitting all season. So Trey's impressed me. I don't think he's perfect. I didn't think he was going to be perfect. I think he's made of the right stuff, and I'm excited to see how he is going to develop. All right, guys, cool stuff. This has been the 49ers-Texans preview. The last time that the 49ers played the Texans was the last time that Trey Lance started a game behind a full offensive line like Trent Williams, right? So that's kind of cool. McGlinchey wasn't there either against the Texans. He had already torn his quad. I will put this up here. Welcome to our 2022 49ers coverage. Sub to The Athletic. Like this video and subscribe to this channel. I'm on Twitter at Lombardi himself. This has been the 49ers-Texans preview conversation. Thanks, everybody, for joining. We will talk to you all tomorrow. It's game day tomorrow, so get some good sleep and let's enjoy some football. All right, thanks, guys. Take care.